Hey y'all, it's your girl Pinky. Um, I just want to share something real quick because I'm out on the back patio and just doing a little bit of writing and thinking and stuff like that. Because I said I'm gonna start getting back into my journal and getting back into my reading. And I've been having these weird lucid dreams, right? Lucid dreams as in pregnant, like pregnancy. The first dream I had where it was like I think a week ago. It had to be like a week ago. Um, I was sleeping in my bed and I heard the door got bust down, the front door of the apartment. So I jumped up instantly and I noticed like men, and these weren't just ordinary men. These was like men in military uniform, like SWAT team or the army. I know it was green. The color was like an olive green, army green color, and their skin was like peeling and burnt. And the parts that were peeling, you could see like larva, like it was like they just came right out of a dang on furnace, like fire furnace. Like it was so weird, and they was running. It was a bunch of them just running in the door. Now I could see, as I'm sitting in the bed, I could see straight across from me the door to the room, and then I could just see, I say demons just coming in. And there was one particular demon that came in that was big. He was bald, he was huge, muscular. He was the biggest of them all. And he instantly stopped in front of the door and he turned and looked at me. So I'm sitting up in the bed, I get scared. So I sat up a little bit more. And when I sat up, my stomach showed and I was pregnant. It looked like I was like 6, 7 months pregnant. And there was someone laying in the bed next to me, but they were covered up. Um, I couldn't see who it was. They like the blanket completely covered them. So I look it over like, who is this? Who am I laying next to? So he started to walk towards the doorway, and the whole blanket next to me with this figure of a body, like the shape of a body, slid off the bed and went under the bed. So the first thing I think of is like, shit, I'm gonna stick with you. I'm not gonna stay, sitting in this bed. So I get up out the bed and I go under the bed. So it's all I see is the boots of the huge demon figure I explained earlier, and I see his feet coming to the right side of the bed where I'm at, and he bent down and he got on the little microphone thing. It's like, we found her, and he went to grab my leg, and I screamed. Like I looked at this, whoever is under this blanket, I looked to my left and was like, help me. And he threw the blanket down and all I could see was the back of his head, like the side right here. He basically pulled the blanket off him. He had short hair. His hair came to like his shoulder, like a little above his shoulder, and it was kind of curly, but it was black. He was black, and he had copper skin color, and he reached across me and extended his hand out. And when he extended his hand out, I guess whatever he did, it pushed the demon back and he hit the wall. Mind you, when he did that, I saw his clothes. He had on a white cloak, and it was so white. It was so white. It looked like it was glowing, like it had its own light. And so I'm astonished when he did it, because I'm looking at him like, who is this? I couldn't see his face, because when he turned my way and extended his left arm out, he put his head down. So, and his hair kind of fell forward, so I couldn't see his face. And I'm like, who is this? So he gets from under the bed. I finally get from under the bed, and the demons on the other side of the room, like literally on the other side of the room, and he hit the wall so hard it was a big crack in the wall. And he stood up and brushed his step off. He said, "Oh, I see we got an issue here." So he said on the radio, we got an issue here. So whoever responded back was like, what's the problem? He was like, he's with her. And he was like, you lucky. The fire in his eyes is the reason why I won't come close to you. He said, but next time. So next time I know, they, he was walking out of the room and they was kind of like evacuating the apartment. So this man was in the bathroom standing in front of the mirror, and I guess he was kind of adjusting something. But the crazy thing about it is, it's like I looked his way, but he was kind of blurred. I could see him, but not see him. It was a little blur, and I could not focus on his face to save my life. But I see the hair and everything, and his garment was so white. I'm telling you, it was so white. It's like a light bulb, like white. It's LED white. It was so clean. It's like a light of a garment, for a garment. That's how white it was. And I heard something ding. I looked because I felt something in my right hand, so I looked at my right hand because I heard a noise too that caught my attention. I was really trying to see where it came from, but the first thing I noticed was my right hand. And in my right hand I had this card, and it had two colors on there. It had like a orange yellowish color, and then I really want to say it was between orange and yellow. It was kind of like going back and forth between that on the card, and then there was a green light on the card. So I looked down at my belly button. Mind you, I'm pregnant. It's a little after like 7 months or something like that. And I looked at my belly button, and the light changed from that orange yellowish color to a green. And that's what the noise was. It was like ting, like I guess basically saying that, okay, the baby feels safe. And it probably set off an alarm or something for this man to come save me. I don't know. But I woke up. So the first thing I was thinking, like, okay, what does this mean? Like, I know I had got my tubes cut 12 years ago. Well, it'll be 12 years next month, September, because my third son is 11. And he was born on September 21st. So I got my tubes cut the same day that I gave birth to him. So it's been about to be 12 years next month. On the 21st, it'll be 12 years since I've been infertile, basically, like tubes been cut. So I was like, I know I can't have any kids, so is somebody gonna be pregnant? Or I was like, but it was me, so maybe somebody pregnancy is in danger and God protected the pregnancy. I don't know. I was just really pondering on it, so I wrote it down in my book. So last night I had a dream that I was in this, it's like a tube, like a cave, but when I looked around, I said, I'm in somebody's body, because it was like, it just looked like, if you ever seen movies where people teleport inside people's body, and it's just, you could tell like how the walls look and everything. It's hard to explain right now because my mind is just blown. And there was a embryo slash fetus, because it was an embryo at first, but I could tell it was slowly forming into a fetus. It was in front of me, and it was huge. It was bigger than me. So I'm walking behind it, and it's just moving so freaking slow. I'm like, and I'm trying to find a way around it, and I couldn't get around it. It filled up the whole space, and it was just slowly moving forward, and I'm just like, oh, this is going to take forever. So I started feeling like very impatient in this dream. But like I said, when I first had this dream and I looked around, I said, I'm in somebody's body. And I was like seeing this embryo slash fetus developing into a fetus. I said, I'm in somebody's fallopian tube. So then it switched to where I was walking down this single street, and every house, I say house, but they look like buildings. They look like mechanical warehouse buildings, but they're shaped like a house. But the image over it, like it had its own logo. It showed a fetus, an egg, right? And there's a mechanical gear wheel around it. It was on every freaking building. I'm walking down this single street. Mind you, I'm not even on the sidewalk. I'm in the street. And each building had this logo on it. Huge as day, like on the front of it. So I'm thinking, okay, it's a warehouse or it's a lab or something. And they were red. The fetus and everything was red. And the gear wheel around it was like metal. And it was like the color of metal, but it was a little darker, like rusty. And I'm like, they create these things here, or like as soon as they come through the fallopian tube, they grab them and put them in these things. Like, what does this mean? So there was nothing in front of me. I'm just walking. I was like, dang, the little embryo or fetus I was walking with is no longer with me. So where am I? And I woke up. So I'm like, okay, well, what is going on? Mind you, from the first dream I told y'all, which was last week, up until say today, I always, you ever like, meditate and get by yourself and just meditate and get in your own zone, in your own mind, like dig within yourself. Well, I have been doing that lately, and the first thing, I guess from this anxiety of this whole ordeal, I always find myself in this field. It's a field that has a few little weeds, and then in between the weeds you see weed plants, and the weeds have fully harvested, but they're withering. So I was like, dang, it looks abandoned, and like nobody's been here for years. And it's crazy because they're so tall. They're kind of tall as me, but the wind is blowing so much I don't have to move them out my way. They're just moving side to side, and I can kind of see what's going on around me. And off to the right there is a big huge building, and it's abandoned. The foundation is good, but the building is just like dry rotting, like it's basically just decaying. It's looked like it's been like that for ages. And I was like, I noticed I was in this big little bubble, and I tried to move the bubble to move around, and I noticed I couldn't move, but I couldn't ascend, which means like I couldn't physically leave the bubble, but I can kind of like travel in a different dimension to kind of walk around. Because I was like, oh damn, I could do this in my dream, because I was just imagining like I want to see what this building is and I can't get to it. So someone just saying, try it in a way like imagine. So in this vision, I imagine myself like ascending as just like a floating wind, and went over there to the building, and I was like, what is this? And I was like, well, obviously I'm stuck here. And I was like, and I heard something clear as day was like, make it your own. And I was like, oh, I can make it wherever I want it to be. And something was like, why not? So I imagined myself changing this building and creating like, I was like, I'm a kid at heart. I was like, I want to build a big dollhouse, like a pink dollhouse, Barbie doll, So I imagined that, and I kind of, got out of it, and I kind of chuckled to myself and went on with my day. So later on, because I always kind of meditate and self-awareness and everything before I go to sleep, and I imagined myself going back to this place, and I noticed it was back the way it was when I first got there. And I'm like, I thought I just changed this building. And something was like, yeah, you can make it into whatever you want it to be, but who's to say that it's meant to be that way? And I was like, the first thing I thought was, okay, this is God. I gave you control. So of course I can imagine whatever I want, but it's what you say you want it to be, or what you put it there for. So I was like, you know what? For the time being, I'm just going to deal with the garden. I call it the garden. So, every once in a while I'm out there kind of plucking stuff and, looking at the roots and the soil and everything. And something just clicked and was like, tend to your own garden before you tend to somebody else's. That was the first thing I thought. And then the second thing I was thinking was, even though I'm in this garden, it doesn't look like an ordinary garden. And that's what I noticed. Like, I couldn't see past the field. I couldn't walk too far, even if I wanted to. And this bubble what is up with this bubble? And when I even ascended out of the bubble and looked around it, it was kind of like sunk in to the soil. And when I tried to kind of like physically push it, I can't. So I'm like, the first thing I thought was, I'm in a womb. I'm in a uterus. I'm in a uterus. And I was like, who uterus is this? Like, is it mine? Is it my mama's? Is it my sister? Like, who? In my family? What is it? So I'm like, you know what? It's time to come outside and really just come to God with this and write some notes, write down what I remember and everything. And as I'm writing, I hear God say, clear as day, like, I conceived you into my womb to develop you and to nurture you. All I need you to do is continue to embed in me. And embedding is trusting in me as well. So I was like, you could look at all perspectives of this. Like, you could be in the Holy Spirit womb. You could be in the womb where it all began with your bloodline of your family, But whatever you imagine it to be, God says, whatever you imagine it to be, you have an assignment. So, and He wants you to tend to that assignment. And the first thing I told God said to God, I said to Him that I appreciate you. I said, thank you. Thank you for protecting my unborn baby. Unborn baby, which is my abundance, my blessing that you gave me. I said, it's crazy. Little old me, you see me being worthy to accept a seed from you that you planted in my womb. And I have to do my part, my due diligence of protecting it and nurturing it as well. So every chance I get, y'all, even when I'm meditating or writing to God or getting with God, I imagine myself going back to that womb and I'm talking with God, and I'm also nurturing, like, you know what I'm saying, like nurturing and tending to my garden. I started saying, thank you, God, for placing me in this womb to be able to tend to my family, my bloodline, this generational curse in my family. I said, because obviously it hasn't been tended to in a very long time. I said, look at the building, and I was looking over there at the building that was just tore down. I said, maybe you did give me an assignment, and I have to tend to these things. This is more important. It had me wrapped up at first, like, man, maybe, anything is possible, God. I could be pregnant, this and that and the third. But I sat back and thought about it. First of all, why would I want to bring a child into the world that we live in today? It ain't getting no better. It's getting worse. I'm not saying that I don't trust God, and to provide. I do. And I'm learning to do it even more. And I'm becoming more better and stronger in putting more trust into Him day by day, because it's like, since I've been getting close with Him and I have nothing but time to walk with Him, I'm learning more every single day. And I come to realize that I'm not an adult. I'm still in the fetus embryo stage with God. He conceived me in His womb. I'm in the womb of the Holy Spirit. So I'm getting all my DNA. I'm getting all my knowledge. I'm getting all my understanding, my traits, my features, my habits, generational, habits that we have, like face expressions, all of this stuff, all the likings that come with God. I'm embedded in His womb to develop those traits, because my goal is to be more like God. So that dream really put me on a whole different train of perception of things when it comes to this 3D of what we call life in the 3D. Because God had me realize it's not saying that you're physically pregnant, it's saying what's going on in the realm, in His eyesight, not mine. And it was crazy, because when I had that first dream, I was feeling like flutters in my stomach. my breast was getting really, really sore, and I'm the type, sorry about this video, it's mostly really, really for the ladies, but if men do watch this, then it's some good knowledge in here for you as well when it comes to dealing with a woman that her relationship is so strong with God. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I was just feeling all of these symptoms, and I normally don't. I just wake up one day and Mary sit right there I really call her Eve, is standing right at the door like, good morning. I'd be like, okay, I gotta deal with you for 7 days. Cool. Let's go ahead and get this started. You know what I'm saying? So, I was just like, what is going on? Like, it had me in a whole mental state of mind of 3D. That's my lingo. For those who get it. Those who don't. Because, most people in this world, their eyesight is in 3D dimension. They can't see beyond that, and I don't have to physically see it to believe it, so for me to have that dream and really went off of my perception at first, but then I had to question myself. I was like, you know what, let me go to God about this, because this is not making sense. And I was just like, Lord, this has been bothering me for about 2 weeks now. Well, no, a week and a half now. And I was like, I really need you to give me some clarity on this, because I'm trying to understand what's going on, I was like, I don't want a baby. I was like, it would be nice to have one, something to give me hope and joy and, just motivation, so that way I can work towards getting my other 3, and then my other 3 have a sibling. I was like, but that's not what I want right now. I don't want to bring a child into the midst of my triumphs and my trials and tribulations like this. I was like, because right now I'm still learning. How can I guide another daughter or another son when right now I'm in training? You know what I'm saying? So, and I gotta eventually learn to leave. Well, basically not learn. I'm learning to these steps to basically help my children in the near future. You know what I'm saying? So I know God's preparing me for that, but he has to train me up to be a leader. I just can't walk into a leader status, so I had to learn really humble myself. And since I've been in this stillness position, I have really learned to humble myself, and I started realizing I wasn't giving myself enough rest. I wasn't giving myself enough love, enough affection, enough nourishing. And I was like, even with my body, not just my mind and my spirit, but my body as well. So I was like, I'm not in good shape to have a child anyway. And I was just like, it's got to be something else. I was like, maybe somebody around me, maybe somebody I know. I was like, no, this is for you. This is for you. And I was like, well, help me understand. And it's getting to a point now, like, I still feel flutters, like, in my stomach. Like, literally, y'all, like, I wake up in the mornings feeling nauseated, tender breast, like, flutters, pain on one side, in my lower back. It was just weird stuff, and I'm not used to going through stuff like that, at all. So I was just like, what is going on? Am I dying? Like, I was feeling fatigued. Oh my God, just a lot of stuff was going on, a lot of stuff. And next thing I know, I was just feeling like, doo-doo, like little flutters in one spot. Then I feel it move around. I was like, maybe it's gas. So I was taking like digestive medicine to help kind of relieve gas, and I was like, the next day still feel the same thing, or through the whole day. I'm like, what is, like, ever since I had these dreams, y'all, I was like, what the heck is going on? So I thank God for the revelation. It really put my mindset on a deeper standpoint of how he is working behind the scenes, and I thank him for the little peek at what he's doing. Which he doesn't have to do that, but he does to give us comfort, and I just thank him for that. And I wrote down in my book, like I said, you know what, Lord, I'm going to do my due diligence as well. He was like, what's that? I said, I'm just going to tend to this garden, and when I feel myself started getting kind of like doubtful, or don't see a breakthrough, or don't see signs that things are going to turn around, I just imagine myself going back to the womb of my generation, or the womb of the Holy Spirit, or the womb of God, or my womb, my sister's womb, my mother's womb, my auntie's womb, my grandmother's womb, my great grandmother's womb, like all the women. It could be men too, you know what I'm saying? The womb of my nation, my generation, and tending to the harvest. Because when I'm doing it, and I'm just saying in my mind, like when I elevate, I quiet my mind, and I start taking deep breaths, and I start really digging within myself, I imagine myself going to this womb that God has assigned me to. And when I look around and see what can be healed and changed, I start tending to them. And as I'm tending to them, I'm talking with God. And as I'm talking with God, He's starting to reveal more and more and more and more. And I was like, this is where I need to be. I'm exactly where I need to be. It might not look like it in 3D right now, but God showed me through His eyes what He sees. It's not what we see, it's what He sees. And He showed me, I place you exactly where you need to be. And no matter how you try to run or how you try to avoid it, it's going to happen whether you like it or not. So it's either you going to put your boots on and get to work, or you going to abort mission. But if you abort mission, that's a miscarriage. Do you want that? I'm like, oh no, I got to protect this abundance at all costs, even if it costs me my life. I said, because, and I don't know why, I just feel like He says that the weeds that you saw that were standing tall, they still had good nutrients, but they were withering away. He said, those are your family. That's your family. Those are your family members. You know what I'm saying? And the whole time I was thinking, like, oh, this got to be a physical pregnancy or something. And I'm just like, I'm feeling all the type of symptoms and all type of stuff. And God was like, no, I want you to go through the feelings and emotions of that, but take it as that you're nourishing yourself. And when you're nourishing yourself and protecting your pregnancy, you're doing it not just for yourself, but for everybody, that's connected to you, that's tied to you, So I love that revelation. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful, guys. And I've been asking Him for a whole week and a half, like, what is this? And then last night having that, and I'm telling you, that embryo was just amazing. Like, that thing was so freaking big. It's like I was a ant size seeing that thing in my sleep. And but I'm still asking Him for understanding of what the gear wheel is. And the only thing that I get from it, that I'm feeling from it, is that under construction, you're going through development and the production, basically, because a baby has to go through stages. A fetus, it go from an embryo to a fetus to an actual living being, like a baby, but it takes time. And what they say for us, it takes 9 months. But God said, who's to say that it could take 9 months? It could take years, months, days. But it's the part is being patient. And then it's like the way that He sent these dreams and these visions. He didn't send it in a organized order, like from A to Z. He's sending like bits and pieces. So I had to literally write my dreams down, remember them, write them down, and then kind of put them together like a puzzle. And that's why I realized, I was like, okay, the dream that I had, it's like the dreams I was having was backwards. It was backwards. And I feel, in a way, from having those dreams backwards the way I did, it's like God said, we got to start all over from the day you were created, from the day that you was planted in your mother's womb. We have to start from there and then work our way up. And that's how it is with God. You don't just start off with God as a dang old child or an adult. You start off with God as an embryo. like a spoken word. And then he said, he might have said, angel conceived and conceived me into his womb. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I had dreams going through the tube. Do you hear me? And it's a tight spot. Like, I could not get around this embryo, bro. Like, I'm trying to squeeze past because it was moving so slow. It was just rolling. It was just, and it's like I'm looking in the embryo and I'm seeing, like, first it was just this little solution, like pink solution, and then it slowly was developed. I said, this is a dang on baby. I was like, it's funny, but I'm laughing with joy because I'm just like, I dreamed this last night, like literally last night, and it did not end until I opened my eyes. I seen everything. I was like, and I'm looking at it, and I looked around at the walls, and I was like, I'm in somebody's fallopian tube. Ain't this some crap? I was like, and the first thing I thought was like, my mother? Like, the Holy Spirit? God? Like, who was I in? You know, and then to come out, and you were just walking down this single road, don't see no street signs. You don't see nothing ahead. You just see a straight road, just going straight, single line. And on your left and your right, you see buildings with this dang on logo that I told y'all. And I pondered on that for a minute before I started recording, and I could not figure out what that meant. And recording now, it's like you're going through development. I'm developing you. I'm developing you, molding you. But we got to go all the way back because I conceived you in my womb. I impregnated you. And that's why it says you are in this world, but you're not of this world. You know. So I'm going through implantation right now. Implantation. It has been confirmed. Positive. Positively confirmed with God. You I just want to share that with you guys. I hope y'all having a wonderful, blessed, and prosperous day. Update with me is I just been sitting still because my last video that I posted is really, I'm just going to say this, and I feel God said, I don't want you to share this story right now, but I do want you to leave bits and pieces for people to wonder. Because God told me, if all my needs are not being met, I press the reset. Is what God told me. Because I was like, and the first thing I said out my mouth, repeated cycle. He said, yes. If all my needs, not your needs, my needs of you is not being met, I press reset. And I was like, whew, boy, when you press that reset, it was hard. It was freaking hard, but it was necessary. And I'm adapted. I'm embedded. We got a positive pregnancy test with God that this is happening. And now it's just a waiting game. But I have to do my part to nurture and put in the work as well. But again, I hope y'all have a wonderful and blessed day. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.